Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Ali Mir and I'm from the Office of Advancement at LUMS. Welcome to another podcast today where our focus for the day will be on the Electrical Engineering Department. The Electrical Engineering Department at LUMS hosts multiple programs such as the Electrical Engineering MS and PhD program. We also have the MS Digital and Embedded Systems program and the MS Power Engineering and Smart Grids program. Today, our focus will be on the Digital and Embedded Systems program as well as the electrical engineering programs housed at the Syed Babar School of Science and Engineering. I'm joined today with Dr. Nauman Zafar, Dr. Adeel Pasha, and Dr. Momin Uppal. Assalamu alaikum everyone. So starting off with you, Dr. Momin Uppal, why should someone choose the Syed Babar School of Science and Engineering if they want to pursue a program?
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for having us here. I think the first thing is, if I were to point out just the strongest strength that we have, that would be our faculty. So we've, over the years, collected a group of our team members who are really the best at what they do. So they serve at the forefront of that cutting-edge research that we do, that trickles into the teaching, that trickles into our students, and that shows when they go out in the industry that really we are the best in the country.
And there are so many universities within Pakistan that teach the engineering programs, such as electrical engineering, that solely focus on it. Why should someone choose LUMS over those universities?
So once again, I think that we've sort of established a culture where we're working with the no boundaries philosophy. So it's not just electrical engineers and us that we're working on solving problems. We're actually working with other departments in the school, such as the sciences, such as computer science, as well as across the school, which is a business school, the humanities school, and trying to work collectively towards solving the problems that we face as a country.
We can move on to Dr. Adeel. Dr. Adeel, can you differentiate between both of these programs? They're so similar yet so different, which are digital and embedded systems as well as the electrical engineering programs.
So the point is that MS Electrical Engineering is rather a broad program. So it can offer certain specializations in it. For example, so you could have a specialization in intelligent systems. You could have a stream in embedded systems itself. You could have a stream in power systems and smart grids.
So it's an overarching.
So it's a broader topic. So if you're not really clear about what you are going to do with your MS degree, so you could go for MSEE program. And then if you're really sure that what you want to do, if you want to really go for say digital and embedded systems or say power systems, so then we have those specialized courses as well that we offer. Basically those are more that have more depth basically compared to our overall generic program. So that's the main difference between the two. Otherwise, the quality of programs and the faculty, they are the same or they are the similar basically.
You're saying that the digital and embedded systems program is a more specific program rather than the electrical engineering.
Yeah, so it's more industry focused, targeting a specific niche area in Pakistan that is developing, that is integrated circuits, IC design and verification.
पाकिस्तान में there is an issue that जब students एक दफ़ा bachelor's complete कर लेते हैं अपनी electrical engineering के अंदर, they don't tend to move towards an MS in electrical engineering platform. आप मुझे बता सकते हैं कि why these students should continue in electrical engineering, pursue a master's or a PhD in this program?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So I would say that the BS degree is kind of the first milestone that any student who is...
So it lays your foundation.
Yeah, but I think really if you want to work in a certain area, for example, power systems or digital and embedded systems or smart grids, so you really should go for a specialized program like MS in EE or MS in DES or in power systems. So it really helps you in the long run. So in your career, once you have a master's degree, your prospects for growing faster as compared to the colleagues which don't have the master's degree. So it can make a big difference.
And obviously there's also a salary boost.
Right. So yeah, so that's another point. So right before this podcast, Dr. Momin was telling us about the salary prospects for MS students are the data that we just got from our Office of Placements. It suggests that about 50% more salary for master students as compared to simple BS students.
So a 50% increase in the salaries for master students. That's a very big boost for us. Moving on, we can now talk to you, Dr. Momin Uppal, about all of the faculty members within the electrical engineering department. Your department has gained a lot of credibility globally and locally. Can you tell us how you have gained all of this credibility?
Obviously, because of the hard work that we put in.
Obviously.
So I think we've collected these people together and let them do their work in areas that are diverse, in areas that are cutting edge, and they're publishing their work along with the students at peer-reviewed venues internationally. And that has been at the forefront of our recognition across the globe. I think one of the other key factors behind the recognition is our students. जो हमारे शागिर्द हैं, जब वो जाते हैं, I think they speak much more than we could about the training that we impart, about the education that they receive. तो recognition के यही ज़रिए होते हैं ना, एक आपका जो काम है that speaks for itself, and most importantly your output, which हमारे लिए सबसे important output हमारे तालिब इल्म है.
They talk about it with their actions, not their words.
Exactly. So from their work ethic, when they go abroad, as well as in the industry in Pakistan, they're doing their own work, they're making their own startups, and that speaks volumes about the training that they've received.
And you did talk about startups. मैं आप लोगों से पूछना चाहता हूँ कि basically research or initiatives आप लोगों के कितने ज़्यादा इस time पे चल रहे हैं? I've heard that the electrical engineering department is very busy in those regards.
Yeah, so I think one of the misconceptions that जो students में रहती है before they actually declare a major in EE is that the EE is that एक वो पुरानी एक सोच है ना कि EE electrical engineering is WAPDA.
हाँ जी, let's go WAPDA.
Is power engineering. It's much more than that. So we have people working on areas as diverse as trying to solve our water problems within the country. So the Water Informatics Technology Center, which is one of the research centers at LUMS, is actually being headed by an electrical engineer. So they're investigating how can technology be used to solve these problems. The problems of our cities themselves, the sustainable urban development, they're being led by Department of Electrical Engineering, people in the Department of Electrical Engineering. Nauman, for instance, works in the area of agri-photovoltaics, right? So combining agriculture with solar panels, that's another diverse area that we work in. And the list is really, really endless, is really, really diverse.
So we have LUMS Energy Institute as well, that is also,
a very big research center.
And it's also headed by electrical engineers. So I mean, many big centers, research centers in LUMS are basically headed by the EE department, people, EE faculty basically. And then there are those individual initiatives as well. I mean, that all our different faculty members are basically doing.
Dr. Adeel Pasha, आप भी अपने बता सकते हैं कि digital and embedded systems के मुताबिक
So basically digital and embedded systems. So embedded systems, as I already mentioned to my students as well, everything that you touch upon today that has a life in it, life in a sense. So that will have some sort of an embedded system in it, basically. So anything that is smart today is smart due to embedded systems. So if it's smart grid, if it's smart energy meter, if it has any smart home appliance, so everything is basically having a tiny bit of intelligence in it. That is thanks to digital and embedded systems. So that's the impact of DES actually in our lives. So everything that, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, all of these are basically powered up by the chips that we are, creating, that we are designing here.
And if you want to study any of these programs in LUMS, let me just tell you about the admission criteria we have. First of all, we will need to take your academic record into account. You need a minimum of 2.4 CGPA to apply. Moving on, you also need to take tests. We need to check your performance on the admission test, which is going to be the LGAT exam, the LUMS graduate admission test, along with the Syllabasi specific subject test. Moving on, you also need letters of recommendation. You need to give an interview if you are shortlisted. Interviews are mandatory for the PhD programs. And can anyone tell me what is the weightage of an interview in this process? Basically, the research presentation and the research interview. How important is the research presentation for a PhD candidate?
Yeah, so for the PhD candidates, the interview and the presentation is very important, because that's where you will convince the faculty here that you are an excellent choice for their research, and you have the potential to do a cutting edge work in a specific area, and you will show that you have previously done projects and or thesis in a particular subject or topic. So I would say that interview is the key for the PhD students.
So I think a PhD Killian. So I would liken this to adoption, right? So it's like you're adopting a child. So if I am a PhD supervisor, I'm taking on a PhD student. That means I'm adopting that student for the next 4 or 5 years with my investment in time as well as money and my energy. So एक जो relationship है वो एक वाकई एक मेरे लिए एक वालिद और एक बच्चे का relationship है.
You did talk about money. The PhD program is a fully funded program, and
Yes,
the
it
students
is.
receive a stipend every month, and there are some also additional fundings in the department.
So there's a minimum amount of stipend that they're guaranteed to receive, but then if the supervisor has additional funds available, those can be provided to the student. In addition, for the PhD programs, हमारे पास there are additional scholarships available, which are acronymed SABARA, that's Syed Babar Ali Research Awards, and those are awarded to exceptional candidates as well. So that's actually a top up on their stipend. So we really want to reward excellence. And that's a motto that our students are going to see. If you're willing to achieve that excellence, we'll make sure that you're cared for.
And for PhD students, LUMS also provide travel grants. So I don't think that anywhere in Pakistan, PhD students can go abroad and present their research in conferences. But at LUMS, we fully support and fund students who are PhD students, and they want to present their research at international conferences.
You heard it. LUMS really does love its PhD students here. We can focus more on Dr. Adeel right now. Dr. Adeel, can you tell me what your current class profile looks like for digital embedded systems and for the engineering department as a whole? Can someone like me with a business background join the engineering department, or do you need a specific criteria for it?
So again, so for the MS DES program, so since it's a specialized program, so we need to have people who have a specialized sort of a skill set, but that is ensured through their subject test and their other scores. So once they are in the program, so it means that they are really eligible for that. So given the current profile of my students, so I have students in my class in DES from a diverse background, ranging from traditional EE, power, to even mechatronics or even physics. So there are people, and avionics engineers, so aeronautical engineers basically, so who are sitting in my class. So basically, if you are if you have a knack for designing things, designing systems, designing hardware, so that's the point.
When we talk about scholarships within the Syed Babar Ali School of Science and Engineering for the electrical engineering department, we have merit scholarships. We also have LUMS interest-free loans, which you can take, which can cover partial up to full of your fee. And we also have other scholarships. Dr. Adeel, would you like to tell me about some scholarships?
So for MS Digital and Embedded Systems, so we have industrial sponsorships as well. So we have a specialized scholarship called SIF, or Semiconductor Industry Fellowships. So two students, so in our each MSDS batch, they actually get partial funding for partial tuition fee waiver, thanks to the generous funding provided by the semiconductor industry working in Pakistan.
I would like to add here, in addition to the fundings that you've talked about, I think there's another instrument, which is the research assistantships and the teaching assistantships.
RAs and TAs.
RAs and TAs that are available to our MS students. And in fact, in many cases, we would prefer that we have an MS student who's assisting us in our teaching. So that covers, so that provides an honorarium or provides a stipend. That's often overlooked. None of the universities, as far as I'm aware, in Pakistan would provide that funding to their graduate students in the form of teaching assistantships as well as RAships.
When we talk about the future of this program, the electrical engineering, as you have said yourself, has evolved so much from when it started. What do you think the future of this program is in terms of all the student learning?
So the future is bright. That's a one-word answer to that. And I think where to grow, we will grow. And this is electrical engineering is here to stay.
Obviously.
And that's the bottom line. We will see, inshallah, growth in our country as well in that industry. And these students are going to be our assets.
Yes, obviously. We have a lot of students who are starting up their own companies.
So actually, before coming to this podcast, I was actually looking at my last webcast when we actually were launching this program for the first time, MSDES. So that was in spring 2023 last year, and the podcast was earlier than that, so it was end of 2022. And then there were two participants with me in that podcast with from the industry. So one was from Siemens, which is the embedded software spectrum of the industry, and the other one was Dr. Bilal Zafar, who is the CEO of 10x Engineers. So he is the founder and CEO. So he was actually referring in that podcast that there are 5 companies in Pakistan currently who are working in the area of this chip design and verification. Back in 2019, there was no company that was working in that area. And today, I just looked at the list. So there are around 12 companies that are actually doing that business in Pakistan. And he was projecting that those 5 companies would need around 100 engineers maybe next year. And now, even only 10x has around 150 engineers. And if we look at the total count, so there are about 500 engineers who are employed in these 12 companies with electrical engineering and computer science and software engineering background. So you never know about the future. So obviously, the future is bright, as Momin.
The future is bright.
The very fact that we actually have a private industry providing fellowships to our students, that speaks volumes about the need out there. Because they're the ones who want students to take up this program, get that specialization, and work for them. I think this is a really, really positive data point to answer your question. The future is bright.
Thank you so much. Dr. Nauman, can you also tell us about the PhD candidates? Is their future only in academia, or are they also traversing into other industries as well?
Yeah, so for PhDs, I think the paths are open both in academia and industry. We see them both teaching at universities, as well as some of them are launching their own startups, and some of them are abroad for their postdoctoral studies. After postdoc, they can either join industry, or the paths are open both in academia and industry. And I think that's a very positive sign that after PhD you are not limited to just a teaching career. You can even go towards startups or join existing industry. So I think going forward we will see more and more PhDs joining industry, both locally in Pakistan as well as in international places.
When you talk about startups, there's a question I wanted to ask all three of you. I've been seeing an electric rickshaw roaming around LUMS for so long. Can you please tell me what that is all about, all three of you?
So that electric rickshaw is is a part of a startup, is an initiative by a startup, which is उसके करते धरते जो हैं वो इसी बिल्डिंग में बैठते हैं and sorry, so they're collaborating with the local industry in manufacturing, and then they have this energy in a bottle concept. But the important point as far as this podcast is concerned, I mean, that initiative not only involves the faculty, but there's a very strong involvement of our PhD students, of our graduate students in that entire ecosystem. It is because of their work that it has gone to the market. And that rickshaw, you'll not just see in LUMS, you'll now see on the roads as well. तो अगर आपको कभी एक वाइट कलर का रिक्शा नज़र आए और जिसके ऊपर कुछ थोड़ी सी सेंसर टाइप चीज़ लग रहे हैं, तो that's actually a LUMS initiative.
और डॉक्टर अदील, आपने जैसे पहले बताया था हर चीज़ के अंदर एक डिजिटल और एक एम्बेडेड सिस्टम होता है, तो इस रिक्शा में भी ऑब्वियसली होगा. हाँ जी.
So basically, yeah. So LUMS में जैसे there are numerous initiatives. So for example, a couple of other startups जो LUMS ने EE डिपार्टमेंट ने specifically start किए थे, तो so Workbox है for example. So वो basically हम जो पुरानी lead acid batteries हैं, so उनसे जान छुड़ाने के लिए, so हम basically lithium ion based, so cutting edge. Because you see future में अब हम we are hearing all these buzzwords, electric vehicles and so everything, so they will be battery operated basically. So we need to go towards more modernized or more power and energy efficient batteries basically. So उसकी सारी monitoring करने के लिए उसका so उसके अंदर एक embedded system लगा हुआ है basically, so which is basically monitoring the state of the battery, उसकी health कैसी है, and then you are getting all these information or your smartphones basically regarding your battery health and everything. So that is thanks to embedded systems.
Dr. Momin, before I end the podcast, I would like to ask you to give some advice to the students who are hesitant for joining an MS or a PhD program within the electrical engineering department at LUMS.
Right. So I think one of the things that I really say, the first thing I say in my class is Master Shifu's quote, which is, if you only do what you can, you'll never be more than what you are now. I think that's a philosophy that each and every one of you needs to follow.
You never exhaust your capacity for learning.
Never.
And
never.
LUMS will always support you when it comes to PhDs and MS programs. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope this has been a very informative podcast. And if you want to study under all of these impressive faculty members, you can join us at the Electrical Engineering Department within the Syed Babar School of Science and Engineering. Applications are open right now, and the application deadline for this department is the 16th of April. All the process of this application is online. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining, and see you in the next podcast.